Thank you for joining us on another episode of Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black. Make sure you like and subscribe this video. We got a fantastic guest today. His name is Amani Roberts. He's a DJ, an educator, a music professional, and an all-around just got a wealth of knowledge on this brother. Check in with this interview, subscribe to his channel, subscribe to this channel, like this video, hype this video, share this video. Let's get into this new episode, Season 3, Music Therapy and Motivation, Gino Black, and today's guest is Amani Roberts. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are dropping a new episode here today, Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black. Today, I have the utmost esteemed pleasure of having Amani Roberts on the show. Amani is what I would call a multidimensional creative professional. He operates at the intersection between music, business, education, and personal development. I really do appreciate your time. Welcome to the show, my man. How are you doing this day?
I'm doing well, Gino. Thank you very much for having me. Excited to chat with you.
Absolutely, man. I've been looking forward to this. And I do appreciate you reaching out because I think you are probably one of the most excellent choices for this type of podcast that I've been building. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the Q&A of it all.
Okay. Well, professional DJ based in Las Vegas, from the DC area originally. Went to Howard University for undergrad. Went to Berklee College of Music in Boston for graduate school. I've been a DJ now for almost 20 years. Been a college professor. I teach music business for coming up on 8 years. Love my DC sports teams. Love my pancakes. And, just happy to be here. That's a good summary.
Awesome, man. That's cool stuff. Love your pancakes, huh? Do you like your homemade pancakes or you like a specific spot that you go to?
I have different spots in different cities, but I can make them too. I try to, once a month is my limit because you can't eat them all the time. It's too good for you.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. All right, man. So let's start with your DJ career. It's global. And tell me, what was the moment that you realized that you wanted to be a DJ?
Mm. I always go back to when I went to Howard University, like I said, and was at a club during, I think it was my senior year, called Quigley's. It was like
Hmm
18th and I Street Northwest, and DJ Bismarcky was a DJ. And he set the crowd off that night. It was amazing. He had a part of his set where he played all TV theme show songs. So back in the
hmm
day, it was like Different Strokes, Facts of Life, Golden Girls, all these classic TV shows. He played the theme songs. We were singing along. You get chills. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a DJ. Initially, I
hmm
thought it's not realistic. You wouldn't make any money. I was very wrong. So it took me a while to actually go for it. But that's the moment when I knew.
hmm Now I've had the pleasure of seeing Biz Markie live as well. I saw him. I think it was probably I want to say 2002 at he was DJing a release party for the reggae artist Sean Paul.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it was not a release party, it was a platinum party because that album where he had the Give Me the Light on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a platinum party. And I saw Biz Markie in person. Got to meet him as well. Very, very, very good guy, man. Talented, goes back to the old school. Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I can see how that would be an inspiration for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was something special in his DJ bag,
It
100%
is.
for real.
Yeah.
Now, what was that journey like for you when you made that decision to do that? What was that like?
At first, I was teaching myself. So I started like oh 06, oh 07. Once I got to California, I was teaching myself, and that was okay. In retrospect, it probably wasn't that good. And I was able to get a couple opportunities through a local DJ to DJ an off night at a club. And then one of my friends said, I just went to Scratch Academy. You should go check it out because it could help you learn more. And so
Hmm
you have good people around you. You trust what they say. So I went to Scratch Academy for like just a visit and decided, okay, I need to be there. So finally I went. I went and enrolled in the program. I'd say it's kind of like getting your MBA in DJing.
hmm
And I went to the program twice. First time was for DJing. You have to pass every class. There's 6 total classes over. Takes you about a little over a year to pass the entire curriculum. I actually didn't even pass the final class, which was very humbling. So I had to take it again. That's a whole nother story.
Hmm.
And I ended up having to really kind of check myself, take it again, and then graduated. I think I waited about 6, 9 months and then went back for music production school. So I was first DJing, then with the Scratch Academy to build my skill set, and then from there I just continued to kind of grow.
Hmm. Okay, cool, man. And I also read when I was doing some research on your website and stuff that you worked several years in the hospitality industry.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up working for Marriott. Started working in hotels when I was like 17, 18. Started as a bellman. Actually, I started working in hotels. If you remember, you go to banquets in a hotel and there'll be the person that would sell you the tickets to buy the drinks. And I was the
Hmm.
person that would sell you your drink tickets and buy drinks. And so that's what I first started. Then I was like a bellman, downtown DC, the Washington Westin Marriott. And from there, just kept working. Went to the corporate headquarters for a year, then went to DC. I was in DC, then went to Atlanta, Chicago, Dallas, Miami, back to DC, LA, and now Vegas. So I kind of grew up working in hotels.
Okay, so you're traveling different time zones. Okay.
Yes, yes. The only time zone I have
Yeah.
yet to live in is Mountain Standard Time. I've got Central, East, and
Okay.
Pacific, but not Mountain.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, how would you say that that experience shaped your approach to the industry, to the music industry?
It allowed me to see kind of the other side when people were working with like clients that would come to the hotel and need to hire musicians. So I got to see the back end. Also, it taught me about sales, a lot about sales because I did a lot of work in sales. It taught me
Hmm.
about contracts, logistics, kind of run of show, how to do forecasting and try to forecast for your own business based on trends and what you see. So those are some of the many business things it taught me that are definitely applicable to the music industry.
Mm, nice, nice. Now you were working for Marriott.
Correct.
What was your experience like working for such a large corporation?
I loved my time with Marriott. They moved me across the country, all over the country. I met some of my closest friends working for Marriott. Towards the end, it got to be more about meetings and spreadsheets than people, and I love working with people. So that's why, I made the decision to quote unquote retire and pursue DJing full time. But I love my
Hmm.
time with Marriott. It taught me a lot. It allowed me exposure to different aspects of business, different people, different areas of the world. So I look back upon my time with Marriott quite fondly.
Nice, nice. Now, were you working at any point in the capacity of DJing any of their corporate events for Marriott?
The one time I was able to DJ was one of my first times, and it was when I was at Marina Del Rey Marriott and the DJ didn't show up. And
Hmm.
so that was later in my career, and I was when I was kind of learning how to DJ. And so it was actually Samuel L. Jackson's agent had a party at the hotel, and the DJ didn't show up. So I stepped in and tried to DJ. It was not what DJing is, but I was at least able to show my musical taste. That would be the first time and probably the only time because there was a definite line of separation between if you were an employee there or working there and then working with clients at the specific hotels. So that was a line you really weren't allowed to cross.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, with the Scratch Academy, you learn the skill set. What other attributes did you take from that experience doing the Scratch Academy?
Just learning about how to get a residency. I mean, learning the value and how to do a proper opening set, which is extremely valuable, especially nowadays.
Hmm.
How to build your library. You initially first got taught some lessons on how to read a room, which you're always learning. That was difficult too. Still, still could be challenging.
Hmm.
Um, they didn't really talk about the business side so much. It's more about like your catalog, acquiring music, reading a room, the proper way to dress at certain events, um, kind of organizing between a lounge set, primetime with requests, wedding set, just different crates and different areas of where you need to have different types of music, and then just networking with other DJs and starting to build your community.
Hmm. Okay. Now, what's your favorite type of event? Would that be like a corporate event, a venue, a club event, or like weddings and stuff? What's your favorite type of event to DJ at?
My favorite event would be a corporate event. I mean, because they're most stable and they probably pay the most. But
Of
also,
course.
they generally give you pretty much latitude on what to play, and then you can play it. So I love corporate events. My second choice would be lounges because that's when you can get into some rare cuts. You can play all different genres. You don't need to
Hmm.
build a dance floor, which I definitely I can. So those are kind of the two that really allow you the most freedom as a DJ, in my opinion.
Hmm. Now, what genres do you spin?
So I can spin every genre, mix it all in like a genre blender, just the open format DJ. So I can do everything and mix it in very well. I love playing like R&B music, some hip hop. Nowadays, Afro beats, Amapiano is more popular. Those are kind of the
Hmm.
three. Then mix in a little pop there. Even do a little freestyle from back in the day. Those are kind of my favorite genres to play. But then if I have to, I'm open format all the way.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, I also read on your website, the Amani experience is kind of how you branded your DJ sets. Uh, give me and my listeners and the viewers on YouTube, um, kind of give us a rundown of a night, like one of your best nights and what that experience is like. Kind of give us a paint a visual picture for us what that experience is like.
So I would think like opening up, play like a lot of old school like funk, R&B, where you're playing like you have some Commodores, you'll have some Tribe Called Quest mixed in there. You could have a little, I'm trying to think of my Earth, Wind and Fire, and then you kind of get to the current, you go in their 90s bag where you might have, of course, you have Boyz II Men, Jodeci, Silk, so TLC, kind of go in the 90s and then you'll continue to get current, work your way through the 2010s, 2000s, um, and then you might play some current music, whatever's kind of hot or pertinent of the day. Mix in some Afro beats here and there, and then to close out the night, I always drop in some slow jams at the end of the night. So that kind of paints a really quick
Hmm.
picture. Work your way up through the eras, the decades, play some current stuff. Of course, you have Michael Jackson, Prince. You mix those in, classics that can work at any time of
Hmm.
the night. Um, and then just kind of work it from there. Whatever's current and hot that fits, that's moving the crowd, go from there. But I'll always try to end the night with slow jams.
Gotcha, gotcha. Tell me about a time where you went into a space DJing and like you mentioned earlier, like reading the room, like
Mm,
you learned how to read the room and become an expert at that. Tell me about a time where maybe you had to make a pivot in what
hmm
you were planning on playing with the room because you knew that there was a shift in energy and you had to shift it back. Tell me about a time
Yeah.
that happened.
Um, I think like I went to one of my main clubs I used to always DJ at in Venice Beach in California,
Hmm.
and I was going heavy in like hip hop. We had like Lil Wayne. We were playing a lot of Lil Wayne, some Chris Brown. The crowd was feeling it, but they weren't feeling it a lot. And so what ended up happening is that the crowd really was into like more pop music that night. So you had to go and do like some Miley Cyrus, like work on her hits and mix it in. And it was funny because they were into like pop, but then they wanted a lot of Jay Z too. So you had to play like some Miley Cyrus, then you go like Jay Z, Best of Me. So you had to kind of go back and forth, and
Hmm.
that's what they were feeling. So I had to pivot that way, and then just kind of alternate back and forth and play similar songs throughout the night for like a good hour pocket, and it worked. And that was what comes to mind. And that was
Hmm.
tough because I was planning to go straight hip hop the whole night, and they just weren't feeling it.
Gotcha. Now, was that at a club or was that a corporate event?
That was a club. That was like a club
Okay.
bar event. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a club.
Yeah,
So
you do have to
yeah.
pivot with that. Now, are you the type of DJ that gets on the mic as well during your sets?
I get on the mic every once in a while, not a lot,
Hmm.
but when needed, and if I see certain things, call it a birthday, of course I make the announcements. I try to let the music talking and stay off the mic as much as possible, but when needed, I'm very I view the mic as like seasoning. You don't put a lot on it, but you have to put it on the right time and in the right place.
Hmm. Now, what advice would you have for a younger guy that's coming up, wants to get into DJing, as far as obviously they need to learn the skill set, but thinking of something like crowd psychology.
Mm.
What advice would you give them, a new guy that's coming in? Because it's one thing to be DJing in your bedroom or in your
Yes.
studio at home, but
Yes.
when that crowd's staring at you, waiting on you to
Yes.
set the trend, what advice would you give to a young DJ or
Ooh.
even an older DJ that's just starting out?
Yeah, I would say to go out and to different places, different clubs and venues, and watch different DJs, see what they do well, see what they don't do well, see what songs that they're playing really work and inspire the crowd, and then start to make a list of like your, I call them primetime songs, songs that no matter when they came out, and really no matter what people you're in front of, they will work. You'll find like a lot of like Michael Jackson songs work this way. You have a lot of like classic, like I said, Lil Wayne, Chris Brown songs will work. You can have, Usher. So find artists and songs that they have that will work well. Throwbacks. You can always go
Hmm.
back and get a throwback that'll get people from different age demographics to come across the state. Ludacris has a couple of great ones. Even down tempo. So you want to have songs that are like down tempo, mid tempo, up tempo that work. Um, so you just start to listen, to watch. Really, the key is watching DJs and then going to current clubs and seeing what they're playing currently that are working. And if you see it work three times in a row with three different crowds, then that's a sign. Also, you do your research and look at like the top songs from each not decade, each year. Billboard usually has a list about the top songs from each year. Go through that and make sure you have those songs available. So if you have a crowd of maybe 35 to 40-year-olds and they want to go back to the time period when they were in high school when they had no worries, then you have to go back and
Hmm.
check if someone's 40, they were in high school maybe 18, 20 years ago, no, 20, 23 years ago. So you want to go back and see the top songs like 2000, 2001, 2, 98. So you really use the decades to your advantage. Look at the
Hmm.
top songs. Then you take notes on what other DJs do. And then you have to go out and experiment. You have to say, okay, if I play this song at that time, will it work? You also have to know if you're opening for another DJ, there's certain classic throwbacks that you gotta hold off and not play and let the main DJ play too. So that's the part of the research you have to do, both research online in terms of looking at the decades, research being going out and attending and seeing what works. And then also if you're attending a social event, if you happen to go to a wedding, see what the
Hmm.
DJ plays that will work the crowd and get everyone from different genre, different age demographics onto the floor. So you have to do a lot of observation first and see what works and then a lot of testing. And it could be one night it works, the other night it doesn't. So you have to keep trying things.
Hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, in your opinion, what would you say separates a good DJ from a great experience creator?
I think a good DJ can play songs and play songs that people will know and like and dance to, but a great experience creator will keep the dance floor packed, but keep everyone on the dance floor. And the great experience creator will get that one person that's standing in the corner, maybe slightly nodding their head, but never gets to the dance floor. A great experience creator will eventually get that person onto the dance floor. That's the hardest thing to do. And so they just know by playing and mixing certain songs and knowing when to drop the volume so people can sing along, all the little things that you learn along the way, they'll be able
Hmm.
to do that. People won't even realize what's going on. And then when it comes time for last call, people will be upset because they want more music.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good stuff. Now you have an expansive career, so you go back like 30 years, 30 plus years. How would you say DJ culture has evolved from just the live club scene to now streaming, live streaming, digital media and stuff like that?
Yeah. When I first started DJing, it was pretty much people had their computers and were doing it, but the vinyl was still mixed in. I learned how to DJ on vinyl.
Hmm.
Um, and I would just say DJ culture, the barrier to entry is much lower now. Whereas you
Hmm.
have like these inexpensive controllers people can use to DJ. You have virtual DJ. There's much more technology able. You see more people DJing on in their bedrooms, as you said before. People streaming on live, whether it be YouTube or Twitch or other platforms. That really accelerated during the pandemic.
Hmm.
So the barrier to entry is lower. It's more worldwide. Like you can reach people across the world through all these online platforms, but it's still in terms of a DJ who can really move and rock the crowd and mix properly. It's still not as easy to find as you might think because a lot of these
Hmm.
skills that people are acquiring, because the barrier to entry is so low, they haven't been able to build the skill set of reading a room yet and being able to troubleshoot if the
Right.
sound goes out and all these things. So there's still a gap there, and I think that gap continues to be magnified as more and more issues happen. Then you have like AI coming into the picture, people thinking that they can replace the DJ with just a playlist or a smart playlist, which doesn't work. So we're seeing lots of evolutions, but that's why I talk about reading a room so
Hmm.
much, because that's important to do, and that's, still be able to mix well and build up a set and open up for someone. So there's certain gaps. The barrier to entry is lower, but still that really really skill set of building a set, reading a room is still rare in my opinion.
Mm. Yeah, good stuff. Now, quick question. I'm just thinking this as you were answering that question. Now, obviously, with your expansive career, you started with vinyl. Do you still use vinyl?
Yeah, every once in a while I will. It's not as common anymore. Now, if there's a special vinyl night, I'll go and prepare and have
Hmm.
the vinyl set, but not too much. I can do it, but it's just not as often as once. Maybe I once did it.
Gotcha, gotcha. And what you had mentioned, like, artists, or excuse me, DJs trying to replace the live DJ with playlists or smart playlists. What's your thoughts on that? Just to get into that a little bit deeper. When you see a young DJ or someone who's pretending to be a DJ
Mm,
and they just have a playlist set for that. What's your
yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think,
Shortcuts.
I'm not a fan. I think, they got to learn how to properly mix and tie, different things and use their own creativity. Maybe they grew up in an area of the country where a certain song was hot. Well, bring that song into the set so you can teach people. These playlists are pretty much feeding you similar songs, but how do you discover something new that maybe you
Hmm.
wouldn't even know you like? So I would inspire other DJs who are doing that to try to bring your local flavor into it, songs that you love into it, and don't just depend on the playlist. Show us some of your personality in the music you're playing while mixing appropriately and well.
Yes, definitely. And I wanna shift into some of your actual business endeavors. But last question on the DJ and I'm just curious. Now, back in the day, we used to have record pools
Hmm.
to get us the new music, white label music and stuff like that. How do you get your music now? Do you just download it yourself, or are there still any digital record pools out there that are servicing DJs in the current era?
There's still some record pools as we speak. I know there's a lot of controversy, and certain record pools are trying to drive the other ones out of business. But
Hmm.
as we speak, they're still around. I know labels have continued to be stricter. It's harder to get special edits. You really have to research. So, to answer the question, I still have a couple record pools that I subscribe to and pay for. I will
Hmm.
download music directly either from Amazon, where you get the music, or sometimes the artists will let you download music directly from their sites, because of the fact that some of the music doesn't have, the edits made in terms of intro and outro. Because of the fact that along the way you learn how to use, I use Ableton, you can go in and make your own intro and outros that will help you kind of mix in and out better. So there are some extra steps, but that's kind of how I get my music from directly from artists, either their Bandcamp sites, their websites directly, Amazon, and some record pools. Also, like Beat Source has a system where you can get access to their songs online, so you can
Hmm.
like bring them into your mix online and spin and mix through that. That's also a resource, particularly at the last minute if you don't have time to download and check it out. That's also kind of like a nice resource to use too. So the combination of all those will allow me to continue to grow my library and also refine it.
Mm. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Before I move on to your education and business stuff, is there any other things about your DJ life that you think our listeners could gain some knowledge on? Or anything you wanted to share? Any maybe a story, anecdote, or anything?
Mm, just like if someone's interested in DJing, to definitely go out and support the local DJs and watch to see what they're doing. Like, it's okay to learn from YouTube, but get out into the
Hmm.
wild and learn from them and see what they're doing
Right.
right, maybe what they're doing wrong, and take notes, and also and always say hi to them. Don't necessarily go up to them and make a request, and if people are here and don't want to be a DJ and they want to make a request and someone's playing live, give them some money. Like, tip the DJ if you want to request, show them some money. Those are two things that come to mind right away. I'm sure I'll have more as we continue to talk, but those are the top
Sure.
two right off the
Sure.
bat.
Tip the DJ, ladies and gentlemen. Tip the DJ
Yes,
if you got a request. Don't bother
yes.
him. He's in his
Adam, him,
him
him or
him or
her,
him or
him
her.
or
Yeah,
her.
thank you,
Yes,
thank you. Him or her. Don't bother
yes.
them. when they're in the middle of their set, they're in their zone, unless you
Yes.
got a tip with that. Give them a 20
Amen.
to play your
Amen.
favorite
20,
joint.
50,
Get-
100, you pick it all.
There you go. 20 is the minimum, right?
Minimum. Yes.
20 is the
Yes.
minimum. I can dig it, man. Thanks for sharing that information. You had mentioned earlier you got your master's degree in music business from Berkeley.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Tell me
Yeah.
about that experience.
Yeah. I've never written as much as I've written going through that program. I went through mostly through during the pandemic, so it was mostly online, but it
Hmm.
was intense. I've never written as much as I've wrote there, but what it brought me is that it gave me additional educational credibility. Also, my thesis became my second book, which was tremendous. And, you get access to a phenomenal network of musicians across the world. And
Hmm.
so it continues to open up more and more doors. And like I worked hard, but it's well worth it. So that was the experience. Initially I went there because I wanted to keep being a professor, and they required you to get your master's degree after a certain number of years of being adjunct. And so that's the school I went to, applied, got in, able to get a few scholarships here and there to help some of the cost.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's a great school, great program, and you learn a lot. Learn a lot. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard it's very, very intensive.
Oh,
A
yes.
buddy of mine, a musician friend of mine, graduated from Berkeley, a guitarist friend of mine, and
Yeah.
he kind of said similar things about his education there. Um,
Yeah.
Now did you get your master's degree before or after you started being a professor?
It was after I went in. So I started being a professor in 2018. And in 2020, I went because I've been there 2 years. They're like, okay, we love what you're doing. You're doing great. But in order to stay, you have to get your master's degree. So I went while still teaching. I was getting my master's degree and during the pandemic, which was heavy, just, emotionally. So it was a really, really tough time. And so I spent a lot of time, I was doing a lot of streaming on Twitch at the time. So I was DJing a
Hmm.
lot on Twitch, going to my classes, teaching my students, and wondering how my DJ business is going to evolve when at the time we didn't know what was going to happen or how long we'd be
Hmm.
out. So it was a very stressful time of the world at the same time. But I was able to go, focus, get through my classes, do a lot of writing, and then I was able to get the masters and continue to teach also.
Mm. Okay. Now you had mentioned DJing on Twitch. Tell me about that experience.
Yeah,
And
so
that
I
started in the pandemic, right?
Right. Yeah, that was
Okay.
funny because I would teach about Twitch and gaming, but I never really used it. Then once the pandemic happened, first we all started to DJ on like Facebook and Instagram, but they'd cut you off. So you go to Twitch where they wouldn't cut you off because it was didn't
Hmm.
have really rules in place. And so you go there, and that's where you were able to get people. If I'm in LA DJing, it could be late at night LA, it could be early in the morning across the world. So you get people across the world that would tune in. You build your platform, you start to grow. And I did a lot of stuff on Twitch where I would DJ sets. I also did a talk show called Twitch University where I teach people about how to stream because we didn't
Hmm.
know what we were doing. So whenever I learned something, I teach people. Eventually, I got into game shows, award shows, dating shows, just stuff to kind of fill the time and create content as we were still home during the pandemic. But at the core was DJing. I did one time, I think I did like 54 or 60 days in a row. That was really what kind of set me off and really got me to grow and just learned a lot. That's where I learned a lot about like what we're doing now, where you're having like video, sound,
Hmm.
creating an experience, for lack of a better word, with like on OBS, we have different scenes and you can let the crowd and the people viewing interact and change the scene, request songs. Like I learned so much about kind of production and not really TV production, but live streaming production and just elements of shows that can help keep people engaged. It was like a live class for a good like 3, 4 years in a row.
And how was your engagement at that time on Twitch?
So at first it was very, very low. Very low, had a few people in the channel, maybe two or three of us. Then you grow like 10. And then eventually I got to be have a pretty large viewing. I got partner status. It took a while, and that
Hmm.
was good. And then I had certain shows that would get a lot of viewers. So it got to grow pretty big, pretty nice. I was able to kind of bring a few people over to my mailing list because you always have to be careful on these platforms that you don't own. They could go away at any time, a la
Hmm.
MySpace. And
Yes.
so in retrospect, I feel I should have had been even more focused on getting people from the Twitch platform onto like my email list. Like I had some things I was doing, but in retrospect, I should have done that more, and I should have spent more time on creating content and putting it up on YouTube because I think YouTube is a very, very good platform that continues to grow and is more stable. Twitch,
Yes.
they keep changing the rules and they take a lot of your subscription revenue also, where YouTube, you can get subscribers, but you also have a good ad platform. That's the foundation that can help you monetize better. So I learned so much in that time period. And then in retrospect, there's certain things I would have done even differently, but I had to learn it to go through it to learn that. So that was my time
Hmm.
on Twitch. I don't really stream hardly at all on Twitch anymore because I just have different priorities. But that's
Hmm.
kind of we call it like the Twitch era or whatever. And I got to meet a lot of
Gotcha.
people across the world. And, so now I have people in like Ohio I could reach out to, the UK, Australia, different places of the world I can reach out to. So it grew my network also.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about that. Using that platform. One positive thing I wanted to note on that you mentioned is that global network, that
Mhm.
reach that platform gave you. How important is that to the modern DJ and even the modern artist right now, would you say?
Extremely important because, as a DJ, you're going to be traveling all over the world. That's eventually what you would have probably worked for, or people will be
Hmm.
coming to visit you. So if you can grow your network to have a global network, it just expands your reach. You also get to learn, okay, well, what song's really, really popular in the UK? The UK has a lot of strong, great musicians, R&B acts. I can learn a lot from them. What's good here that might not be popping here in the US. Same thing.
Absolutely.
Same thing, in Africa or whatever. They're years ahead from us in terms of what the hot I'm a piano artist are, Afrobeats artists. So it's really like live education because what
Hmm.
they're playing in Japan, they're big into our music. It also shows you just how strong we'll say Western music is because they play it all over the world, and they
Hmm.
and some of the people know it better than we do, which is very
Yeah.
ironic. So it just allows you to learn more, and it allows you to have opportunities to reach out to people if you travel. Like if I go to the UK, there's a few DJs I can reach out to, say, "Oh, I'm here. Can we meet up?" Maybe they come to the town, they can open up for you. So it just expands your network. It also increases the knowledge you have just from watching, seeing what they're playing and what works.
Yes, yes, yes. Now, at that time, you had mentioned that you had got into the partnership program with Twitch. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean monetization?
Not well, not really. You're a partner. You get a nice purple check marked by your name. You've
Hmm.
achieved certain accomplishments, like in terms of average viewer over a consistent amount of time. You get extra emotes, which are like emojis special for Twitch that allow you to put on your screen. You you could get a bit different split. Normally back then the split was like 50-50, where someone pays you $5 to subscribe to you, you get 250 of that usually. Now sometimes if you're at the high enough level with being a partner with you have high viewership, you could get a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split. It's different now. They've changed it. They've also made it easier to get partner because they kind of add to your viewership and things like that. It was very difficult to get it when I was going through the program,
Hmm.
but it helps. It's a great accomplishment. I worked very hard for it. But in the essence, nothing really changed. You got a little bit of a different split, but now they take out so much more of your money nowadays because they're paying the record labels where they weren't paying them before. And
Right.
so it's more a vanity metric. It's good to accomplish, it's good to go through the process, but it doesn't quite mean as much as it used to. And you really shouldn't let that distract you from really trying to get people off the platform and into your own ecosystem.
Mm. Excellent advice. Excellent. You had also mentioned YouTube, and I'm a proponent for YouTube because that's kind of the space I'm in as well. Talk a little bit about YouTube. Oh, and then shout out your YouTube channel, by the way.
Oh yeah, YouTube channel is Amani Roberts, one word. So subscribe to me. I put up a lot of shorts about my book, R&B history, things like that. My goal for the year is to add more long form content. So that's one thing I'm working on currently. I just think YouTube is like when we think of the biggest search engines in the world currently. Now, currently, Google's number one, YouTube's number two. I
Hmm.
think YouTube is still growing because you can search for anything on there and find it. Short form, medium form, long form. They even have the part where you can put up like posts and things now. I think that as we enter into this area of not SEO but AEO, which is kind of AI engine optimization, YouTube is still valuable because it's public. So the chat models can crawl the different videos and transcripts that you're putting up on YouTube. So it's even more valuable. The more
Hmm.
content you have out there, the better. I do think YouTube is a little bit behind the live streaming specific space. Like Twitch is much, much further ahead from them, but they're making certain additions to help that part of the platform. It's not really a priority for YouTube, but I just
Hmm.
think that if you're going to invest time in a platform, YouTube is a good one. I also like LinkedIn, but that's a different story.
Hmm.
Because it's such a big search engine and people can find you. And even if your video for 2, 3 months, 7 months, a year, 2 year doesn't have a lot of views, if the right person finds it and shares it, you could have a video go viral very quickly later on. Compared to
Hmm.
like, TikTok, once it's gone for a week, it's gone, or it's viral for a week, it's gone.
Right.
I just think that that's a great platform because it's so widely adopted. You can use it, you can get the transcripts from whatever your content is and feed that into the AI system, and it works. And I just think that's a really, really strong platform currently. And that
Hmm.
even as we evolve from the SEO era to the AEO era, it still has extreme value, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And in fact, make sure that everybody got that. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Check out his videos like those. And in fact, if you haven't subscribed to this channel already at Gino Black Official, make sure you subscribe now. Like this video. This is so many gems he's dropping here that a lot of you up and coming artists and a lot of you up and coming DJs can take from. I do want to also mention that you're an author.
Yes,
The book DJs Mean Business. When was that published?
that came out in 2020. Let's look here. April 14th, 2020.
Okay.
Oh, it's almost been exactly 6 years. I got to put up a post. Yeah, it's so okay.
Yeah.
It's almost a little over 6 years now.
Okay.
Uh, that one takes you through the time slots of a DJ set, starting at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., and every 15 minutes are related to concepts about growing your business or your career. So I'll give
Hmm.
you an example. You come into the club at 10 o'clock, you're basically building rapport with the people that are there. You want them to stay and you want them to kind of start to get moving. In business, initially you start off, you're trying to find your ideal client, your ideal avatar, who's going to be with your business. That's the first 15 minutes. We'll skip ahead to 11 o'clock. As you know, we all know something always goes wrong in the DJ booth, whether it be computer malfunction, maybe we're using needles, they don't work well, speakers go out, something goes wrong. So you have to fix things on the fly, but the music can never stop. Same thing in business. If you have a certain product that you think is going to be popular, but it's not popular, but you notice that there's a demand for something else, you have to shift or pivot, as we say, and you have to address
Hmm.
that need, but you cannot close your business down and start it up again. You just have to kind of weave your way through it. That's kind of 11 o'clock troubleshooting. I think troubleshooting for DJs is one of the most underrated skill sets you can have. Signal flow, being able to keep the music going when computer and technology breaks, because it will always break. And you'll know
Hmm.
even the most famous DJs, a lot of them don't know how to troubleshoot. They have to have someone else come and fix it. But if you're your own independent DJ and you can troubleshoot and be able to go to internal mode, play some music, even mix internally a couple songs while you're fixing a turntable, your controller, rebooting your computer, it's crucial. And that's a skill that's missing. So
Hmm.
fast forward to midnight, prime time. What are you doing to keep the dance floor packed? Hit after hit. Keep the crowd singing along. At the same time, what are you doing to cycle through the bar so that people that might get a little tired go into the bar to get a drink so you can show the bartenders love so the club gets its money? That's prime time. In business, what are you doing to increase sales week over week, month over month, year over year? That's your prime time in business. What are you doing to continue to increase sales and grow revenue? That's prime time. And then you'll get to the end of the set. And what I do is I used to drive for Uber. And whenever I would finish my sets, say at 2 a.m., we're out, we're leaving the club, I would get into my car, turn on my Uber meter, and usually I'd pick up someone who had just been at the club I was DJing. They couldn't
Hmm.
recognize me because they could hardly see the DJ. It's dark in there.
Right.
And so I take them home, but at the same time, I say, well, what did you think of the club? What do you think of the music? Did you like the DJ? What did you like? What would you improve? So some people would share, they'd be very honest. And at the end, I say, by the way, thank you very much for the feedback. That was me, the DJ, so I appreciate it. And they would kind of bug out or whatever. So that's part of it too. What are you doing to get feedback in business? You always have to get feedback. Surveys,
Hmm.
everything, see what your customers think so you can always improve. So that kind of takes you through different parts of the book. And there are different slots in there that talk about more, but that gives you a quick synopsis of the book.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's good stuff, man. Where can they
Thank you.
purchase the book?
They get that one on Amazon. Both of them are Amazon, or you can come directly to the website and purchase it, amaniexperience.com/book. You can purchase both of them from me or the web. It's easiest Amazon. That's the easiest distribution. That gets sent to you right
Hmm.
away.
Dope, dope, dope. And then your other book, The Quiet Storm. Let's
Yes.
talk about that for a
Yes.
sec.
Yes. The Quiet Storm. Where is it? I have actually. So hold on. I'll show you. This one right here is DJ's Mean Business. That's the first one there. And then this one's
Nice.
The Quiet Storm right here. A historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups. This was my thesis at Berkeley. Did a thesis on why there are no longer any black R&B groups. During my research, 99% of all R&B groups are black anyway, so I just covered the whole genre. We take you through the decades starting in the 50s, and we analyze the top 10 or 11 R&B groups from each decade based on four
Hmm.
criteria: record sales, Billboard Hot 100 hits, Grammy nominations and wins, and notable performances. So we put them all in like an algorithm and came up with the top 10 or 11 groups. Some decades had a lot of honorable mention groups, and then analyze them in alphabetical order and talk about their history, their hits, my favorite songs, my favorite samples, their Grammy nominations, their Grammy wins. There's lots of great pictures in there. There's also a listing of all their Billboard Hot 100 hits from start to
Hmm.
finish. And the reason I chose the Billboard Hot 100 charts, not the R&B charts, because people need to know that R&B groups dominated the main charts for decades. And so that's important. So that's why I did it. It takes you through the history of that. And then at the end, it's the research that I got from my thesis. The last 20% is what happened to them, why they disappear, and then I make some predictions about what's going to happen next. So that
Hmm.
book came out February 18th, right? February 18th, 2025. Made the USA Today bestseller list on week one. We got to number 50, which was phenomenal. And I'm
Dope.
still talking about it to this day. There's two goals left for the book. The first one is to turn it into a trivia game. That's my goal for this year. And then
Hmm.
eventually get into the right hands to turn it into a documentary.
Oh man, that's awesome. Congratulations on that, man.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
dope
you.
stuff. That's really
Thank you.
dope stuff. And that's available at Amazon.com, folks, for you guys that need to purchase those two
Yes.
books.
Yes.
Talk to me about some of the features that you had regarding those books. I read that you had Forbes coverage, NBC coverage, Yahoo
Yeah.
Finance coverage.
Yeah. So promoting the book, it's one thing to write the book. The hardest part, there's two hard parts about the writing the book. The first hard part is finishing the book. You have to finish it three times to get to three edits. Then you have to promote the book. That's like a whole nother beast of a journey. So for me, I was fortunate where I was able to be on live news, three of the four channels. It was on Fox, NBC, CBS. That was one of the promotion. It got mentioned in several magazines, as you mentioned. Also, Berkeley College of Music, the entire college wrote a long article on the book, which was phenomenal. I
Hmm.
was on local radio here in Vegas, so just a lot of promotion, and you're really promoting the book. But that doesn't really that provides good press. But for book sales, it's really about just hand to hand. Book sales is very similar to if you're an independent artist and you're out there passing out your CDs and giving people flyers at shows and things like that. It's very
Hmm.
hand to hand combat, so to speak. And so I just learned so much about promoting a book, getting it out there, continuing to promote the book, sharing it, using social media as a multiplier, like a megaphone, and all the things. And I'll tell you, there are two things that help me promote the book the most. The first, and it seems like I'm preaching to the choir, but it's the fact that I had a strong email list that continues to grow. I have this lead magnet on my website. You go to amaniexperience.com/quiz. You take the quiz. It'll tell you in exchange for your email address which R&B group you are based on your personality. There's seven or eight
Hmm.
choices from different R&B groups you can take. You can take the quiz. It'll tell you which R&B group you are, but I get your email address in exchange for it. And so that's very valuable. That's one thing, I'm sure we'll get to it eventually, that I teach my current artists. What can you give people in exchange for their email address, which is very valuable currency? Even more valuable is if you can get their cell phone number too, because now with the
Hmm.
more direct fan to artist platforms, you can text people too. So that was a lead magnet that helped me grow my audience. It was also fun. So that's kind of talking about the book, the promotion. I still appear and talk on podcasts about it because I feel this book is pretty timeless because it's history based, and so it just really really captures R&B groups in a historical faction in a very unique way. So I want to continue to talk about it.
Dope, dope, dope. Now you also do public speaking, and as I mentioned earlier, we just touched on the fact that you're a professor and you
Yes.
teach as well. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, professional speaker. So I speak about unlocking your creativity using the power of music and nostalgia. So I bring my turntables to the stage, use different lessons that we've learned from different musical acts to share how people can be more creative. That's one of my talks. I also talk about the music business to specifically music business audiences. And so in order to unlock your creativity, you might want to take creative risks. I always speak about Earth, Wind, and Fire. They were one of the few groups in history to work with and hire a magician to help them with their live shows. They worked with David Copperfield for many decades on their live events. And you go to Earth, Wind, and Fire show, those are off the chain and very different, but very, very
Mhm.
capturing. So I talk about that. I talk about resilience. I have two really good examples about resilience, one current day and one kind of back in the day. The back in the day example is the Whispers. Whispers released their first single in 1964, and their goal was to get a top 10 Billboard hit. It took them 23 years until 1987 when they had their first Billboard Hot 100 Top 10 hit, Rock Steady. So I always say, what were you doing 23 years ago? Because it took
Mhm.
them 23 years to get their goal. That's resilience. I also use a current example, Chapel Roan. She first started singing at age 13. She was on YouTube. Once again, that's YouTube again, posting clips on YouTube. She was discovered, signed to a record label. Then, all through the pandemic, she released her song, Pink Pony Club. And then 4 months later, the song wasn't doing well, so the record label dropped her. If you know anything about the music business, once you get signed to a label, that's like the highest of the high. To get
Right.
dropped from the label, less than 1% of artists will come back after getting dropped from a label. She went
Mhm.
home, was so humbled that she ended up working at the drive through for a coffee shop locally in her town in Missouri. Came back to LA to give it one more try, signed with a smaller, more indie label, was able to finally get a couple breaks, including opening up for Olivia Rodrigo for her Guts tour. Then she got the Grammy for Best New Artist, although she'd been around for many, many years. And
Mhm.
then finally, just this past November, that song Pink Pony Club, that the record label initially dropped her for, um, hit 1 billion streams, which is very rare for a
Mhm.
song. So that's just a great story about resilience. There's different kind of avenue persistence and the Supremes. Supremes when they were first signed, they were only allowed to clap hands on songs. That's it. They were
Mhm.
a group already. They couldn't sing. They couldn't sing backup. Eventually, they went from clapping hands to singing backup to their singing, release their music. And initially, their music didn't do well. They were called the No Hit Supremes within Motown for a while, which is very disrespectful. But
Wow.
they kept it going, and they ended up having this run of 11 of their next 13 singles went to number one, which is unprecedented. Hasn't been done yet since. I want to say I always have to fact check. Things change. That's persistence. So that's what I talk about in my professional speak. I have these 7 different elements: failure. Many people don't understand that Destiny's Child, before it was Destiny's Child, I think they called many things. Girls' Time is when they were in
Yeah.
Star
Star
Search,
Search. Yeah.
and they came in second to the Skeleton Crew. So who have you heard of? Have you heard of Destiny's Child? Have you heard of the Skeleton Crew? I would
Right.
think
Right.
Destiny's Child. So they embraced failure and kind of kept going and reinventing and doing that. Reinvention is another one. I love to talk about Ray Parker Jr. People think he's just the Ghostbuster song. Oh no, 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 no. He had been playing guitar and on songs with Stevie Wonder, Barry White, all these classical artists he worked with. Then he had radio. Then he had his own songs. Then he had Ghostbusters. Then he did.
He
I'm
was a
trying to think
writer
of.
for other artists too, right?
Yes, writer for artists, like he did the New Edition song, Mr. Telephone Man.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
lot. So that's reinventing himself. Also, I cover different genres, just like a DJ. Look at a country artist like Dolly Parton. She first started as a songwriter, then a singer, then a TV host, then an actress in a movie, then more singing. So these are just different elements that I speak about in terms of my professional speaking, but I relate musical examples to kind of make it hit home a little better.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, in your courses that you teach, what topics do you cover?
So I primarily teach music business. And so music business takes you through um, like royalties, making sure you have all your royalties set up as an artist, whether it be public performance with ASCAP BMI, your digital royalties with like a sound exchange, getting your publishing in order. If you're not signed to a publishing deal with the label, making sure you have like song trust. So if you have a lot of streams internationally, you can get your, your sub publishing, things like that. I talk to my artists and teach them about marketing, building your fan to artist direct platforms. I love
Hmm.
Bandcamp. I love Patreon. Activating your marketing, like we spoke about earlier, the lead magnet. How are you growing your email list? How
Hmm.
also are you growing your cell phone list of cell phones, whether it be through community or Laylo or subtext? So that's kind of what we build. Then I teach them about finding music supervisors for sync placements. That's when you get your song onto TV shows, films, video games, commercials. I can also pitch them for your songs for you, getting onto playlists. And so I teach them everything about the music, touring, the proper way to geographically route a tour if possible. You can't go from LA to Chicago to New York to Denver to Phoenix to Miami. You have to kind of, and we take that for
Right.
granted, but most artists don't think about that, like how to go to around the country economically well. So those are all the things we teach about the music business. We get to a little bit of publishing, and so I teach that in the university, and also work outside the university with specific coaching clients that hire me to coach them also.
Mm. Now, with your coaching, how does that work? Someone hires you, do you charge like a flat rate, hourly rate, or?
Yeah, yeah. So I have different rates per quarter. Like 3,000 per quarter will get you two monthly calls. So every 2 weeks we have a monthly call. I give you access to the community templates. We work with you one-on-one on an action plan if you're an artist on how to accomplish what your goals are through the calls. Then you get a couple courses. You get the free music business course. You get a free creativity course. So it's a lot of value in that 3,000 per quarter. And then I have a done for you option also. So the top level is called like Diamond. And if you're an artist and you want to learn, but you need someone to help you with the application of it, then we partner together. That's the done for you solution. That's at 8,000 per quarter. And then I have a group coaching program, which is 1,000. Let me think here. Yes, 1,000 per quarter, where you get into the group coaching program. There's a group call twice a month. You're there, you learn, and you have to apply it yourself. So those are kind of the three
Mm.
different levels of the coaching program. And I'm always open to setting up a free call, amaniexperience.com/call. And if you're an artist or a DJ and you think you might be interested, let's set up a free call and we can talk about it, see if we're a good fit.
Nice, nice, nice. Do you go over how do I put this? I would call it a priority, but let's just, a lot of people don't. But what would you say in terms of being an advocate for an artist or a DJ or any music professional being able to build multiple streams of income?
Yes, yes. So we build like the ecosystem. And so whether you're building income from like your record sales, which it can be primarily through like a Bandcamp and maybe Amazon, those platforms, a lot of people tend to look at streaming as if you're gonna get money from streaming. That's not really where you get a lot of money from. It's more
Right.
marketing. It's more
Hmm.
marketing. So I mean, we'll build that also, but really where you can get money is from your merch and from your touring. So it's like an ecosystem where you have like marketing's up here, and then we have merch over here. So you're gonna work your more merch. You're gonna set up tours, whether it be local tours, regional or national, and then you're gonna do some record sales with Bandcamp, Patreon. You set up your subscription membership service so people can subscribe to you per month. You get revenue from that. So we're going to set up all your different revenue streams. The long game is actually sync. So
Hmm.
sync takes a good, 9,
I
12,
was just
15
about to ask
months.
about that.
15 months to really get sync, because you have to have relationships with the music supervisors and the sync agents. So you first
Hmm.
have to get your music out there and start to pitch it. We'll pitch it first to like smaller commercials, mobile commercials, commercials that show up really quickly on like YouTube. And we'll try to get you a placement in like a commercial. Commercials actually can get you the most money if they get picked up nationally. We try to get you a
Hmm.
placement like maybe a TV show. There's so much content being created, we can pitch you to get placements, but it takes a long time. And so that's one thing that I tell people up front, like, we're gonna pitch you for sync, but this is the long game. And so that's another revenue stream. Then you have your publishing, particularly if, say, you're an artist and a lot of your music is getting played internationally. It could take us a while through Sound Exchange or Song Trust to kind of wrangle that and get your information, but that can get you some money in 6, 9, 12 months too. So the goal is to set you up in these systems as quickly as possible so then you can start to get paid sooner than later once the system starts working. So we set up your entire ecosystem with all those different revenue streams. Maybe touring is the one that's going to give you the money, most money short term, but maybe long term it's publishing. And maybe you'll get a couple sync placements. You know, you have artists like a Lizzo, she got her break from a sync placement. Lord Huron, which is like an independent kind of indie rock band, they got a huge amount of money from their placement on 13 Reasons Why. Like there are different groups and artists out there that break out because of sync placements. So that's the long game, but that's the one you want to have running in the foundation forever because you never know when it'll pop off. So
Okay.
I think I covered as much as that. So yes, keep going. Yes.
Now, within your coaching platform, that you do offer that service to pitch for sync for them.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
that's the done for you at the diamond level. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. So make sure you guys, if you're looking to get into that space, go to his website. It's AmaniRobertsExperience.com, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
AmaniExperience.com, one word. You want
Oh,
to look
just
at the coaching for
AmaniExperience.com.
AmaniExperience.com/coaching will take you to the coaching, which will detail everything we work with you on.
Cool, cool, cool. Now, I always want to talk about the state of mind in these spaces
Hmm.
with the music professional. And obviously with the title Music Therapy and Motivation, I'm always talking about motivation. I also want to, discuss your thoughts on the discipline that it takes. Like you mentioned, this is the long game. This is not a short win. Um, Talk about discipline as you would advise it to someone, as
Hmm.
far as them being resilient, as we discussed earlier, and being able to be determined enough to overcome the obstacles, make sure that they are moving with intention and just not
Hmm.
on their mood for the day. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I'm glad you asked that. That's an important part that's not spoken about a lot. You know, particularly in the music business, music industry, you're going to hear no a lot. You have to really want it bad. A lot of times we have a lot of people that talk about doing things. Like I want to, create an album. I want to release, I want to tour, but very few people take action. Very similar to how you'll have people in life say, "Oh, I want to lose weight. I want to get a new job. I want to move away," but very few people take action. So I think at the core of it all is to continue to take action and move forward. Continue to release music, continue to network with people, continue to do things. Now, in the music industry, really in life, which parallels and mirrors the music industry, you have to be careful about who you let in your metaphorical house. Like you view yourself as a house. People can come up to your front door and knock on the door and try to get inside. You can open the door and talk to them, but you have to be very careful about who you let inside your house, who you let inside your world, because it can really set you back if you have the wrong people around you. You get the poor advice, you have toxic people around you. It's just not good. And it can be colleagues that you're working with, it can be family members, it can be your significant other, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, etc., husband, whomever. You have to be really, really careful because I've seen that trip up so many people, even myself. I've let
Hmm.
some of the wrong people into my house that's caused me to have delays and maybe lack of creativity for a while. So you really have to be very intentional about who you let around you. That's very important. So be careful who you let in your house. Then you have to, I find it's very, very inspiring and important to read different stories about artists who've come before you who have also run into some issues or trouble or experienced some setbacks because you can get inspiration and learn and motivation from them. One of my favorite books, I have it back here, is Charlie Wilson's autobiography. I think that's a phenomenal story because he went from the Gap Band, although they didn't own much of their music, which is a different story, to being homeless to now coming back as Charlie, Charlie Wilson, Uncle Charlie, doing phenomenal because he,
Hmm.
he went through some tough times, drug abuse, etc., and came back strong. That's one book I love to recommend. Just another musician to musician book. And so I think reading is important, reading other people's stories. And then it's it's okay to go to therapy. If you need to go talk to someone and you need to go get an unbiased point of view and someone to kind of help you along the way, I think it's being talked about more in the music industry. Now amongst
Yes.
our black and brown artists and people, it's still looked at a little bit as taboo, which is unfortunate, but I think don't let that stop you. And my message would be if you need to go talk to someone, there's free resources out there. There's apps you can actually subscribe to where you get access to licensed therapists. Use it because we got so much going on nowadays and so much uh, competition, negativity, just a lot of stuff out there that it's good to talk to someone. And the more you hear no and the less you hear yes, the more it'll kind of affect you. But you can't let it. It's not your self worth when someone's saying no to you. You kind of view it as like not right now. So I say all that to say mindset. You want to have a growth mindset. You want to have an abundant mindset. You don't want to be living in scarcity. I know it's very competitive. I get it. It's very competitive in the DJ world, particularly music
Hmm.
industry, but there's enough of this pie out here for all of us. You'll actually get more if you collaborate with musicians because you'll touch more people's platforms, different audiences, everything. And so that's a long roundabout answer to kind of saying that, but those are different elements that I think are very, very important when we're talking about mindset and kind of
Yeah,
personal development.
yeah. And based on the length of your career over that span, how hard was it for you to, or how hard or easy, I should say, was it for you to get to the mindset of you understand the rejection process?
Mm.
For example, I worked in corporate sales for a long time, and I always had the theory of for every seven no's, it's followed
Mm-hmm.
by a yes. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of just pitch, pitch,
Yeah.
pitch,
Yeah.
pitch. Talk about that a little bit in terms of your own personal growth within that space.
Yeah, you're very fortunate that you had the corporate sales experience because most people don't come up in corporate sales, so they have no clue. They think a no is a direct reflection of them when it's not.
Hmm.
For me, in terms of mindset, I'll say probably the turning moment was when I was at Scratch Academy and you had to get 320 points out of 400 in the final class to pass. I had 318 out of 400, so they didn't pass me, and that's when I really had to kind of get my ego in check. 'Cause most of the time, the issues really come from your own ego. That's the problem.
Hmm.
And so I had to get my ego in check and say, okay, I'm going to take the class one more time, be of service. So I ended up taking the class again, did much better, one of the highest scores ever. And so that really kind of helped flip my mindset. Then I would say another also what really is that through life, you get exposed to people who maybe have a negative mindset that you didn't understand. If you haven't been exposed to it, because I grew up with I have some really close friends who have great mindsets. But once you have someone come into your life that has a negative mindset, that's when you really are like, whoa. I see what this is about now. I understand why this is not good. And unfortunately, a lot of times we have to get exposed to people in our lives that don't have the best mindset to show us what we don't want to be. And so, I had that experience, 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and that really also helped me affect my mindset and just understand that that's not the direction I want to go in. And
Hmm.
so, I think there's a lot of books out there that you can read. Definitely go to therapy. Like I have a therapist, I go talk to them. Sometimes I stopped at a certain period of time when I shouldn't have stopped. In retrospect, I
Hmm.
should have kept going. Um, so that's helped me. And then currently, like I make pitches all the time trying to find clients, and I get no a lot, I get ghosted a lot, but you just have to keep after it because, as you say, for every seven no's, you'll get a yes eventually. Like they always say, the person who's digging for gold stop 2 inches from the gold. That's the kind
Right.
of like the metaphorical thing. So just got
Hmm.
to keep digging. You're not allowed to quit. And I think that all that helps with mindset. I do think, though, just to go back, like it's really important the people you have around you. I cannot reiterate that enough because if you have the right people around you, they will help you on the days where you kind of slip up. They will help bring you along and carry you. And if you have the wrong people around, that you'll continue to drop and fall. And so that's kind of my thoughts on personally what I've learned. Like I've learned professional lessons, I've learned personal lessons, and I'm really trying to do my best to apply them currently as I move forward to grow my business and my career.
Mm, mm. So with all of that, and that's a lot, man. I mean, it's expansive, as I mentioned to you previously. Um, there's a lot of takeaways in this. People like and subscribe this video on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, Apple, or iHeartRadio, like it and follow the channel. Um, w- I'm trying. Yeah, a lot. I like it
I
though. I
love
like
it.
it though.
I love it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I think, for the most part, I think I've covered my questions, but I did think, let me see here. Let me just double check real
Yeah.
quick, make
Dou-
sure.
Double check. No worries. No worries. I know you ask me questions. I have my answers. Like, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
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 good stuff,
life.
man.
Thank you.
Tell me about profitable musician.
hmm in terms of being a profitable musician,
Yeah.
like we go back to the question you said about having your revenue stream set up. We got to spend as little as possible, but have your revenue stream set up so that you can really, really try to incrementally grow your business. It takes a time, and you have to really, really first start to perform and play as a musician because that's where you can get the quicker short-term revenue. You want to release music, consistently release music so that you can start to get long-term revenue and have music that you can pitch to other, whether it be sync opportunities and all that. You also want to collaborate with other musicians because you get access to their platforms. You could have a duet or, work with a group and just get more content. Also, when you're collaborating with others, they can tag you on social media, so it just expands your reach. And I think that to be a profitable musician, you have to have all that in place, and you just have to keep moving forward. You have to have the mindset that you're going to stick with it. You can't try this for 3 or 5 years and give up. You have to look at the longing. Like there's no such thing as a overnight success. Overnight success,
There is not.
people have been
I've been
working
in
for
the game for a
12,
decade
14,
plus. Yeah.
15 years. That
Yeah.
that there's no such thing. People think, oh, they came out of nowhere. No, they've been at their craft for decades, working, behind the scenes. Also think for musicians, writing songs is very important because even if you're not a singer, you can write songs and someone else can sing it. And if you have your songwriting and your publishing that's attached to that, that can set you up for
Hmm.
life. That's the mailbox
Yeah.
money. That's what you want. So write songs. You don't have to keep them all yourself. Pitch them to other artists. You just write, release, it just rinse and repeat. And so if you continue to do that, then you work with other people, you get your music out there, then you can become a singer too. Like it's just about sticking with it. Like we're not allowed to quit. Stick with it. Have the right people around you. Build your ecosystem so that you can have all these different. Even if you're a songwriter, you can create a Patreon, and songwriters are becoming brands now too. Max Martin's a great example. Um,
Hmm.
and so that you can create and people can come to you and you can teach people songwriting. You can give lessons and teach too, and people will pay you. So try to create these different revenue streams so that you're not solely dependent on getting a hit and making it big off of a hit song because those are rare. But if you build a strong foundation, it can last you for as long as it takes to get you a hit. Is the main point of the story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One thing I didn't ask you, do you write and compose your own music? Do you produce your own records? Original?
Not so much. I used to do a lot of remixes. I have a remix partner. Our group is called a Starter Jacket Remix as an ode to the '90s and starter jackets. So we have some originals. We've remixed music and won contests and placed in contests for popular artists.
Hmm.
I will write lyrics and with another songwriting partner I have, Olga. We've written songs before, and then she'll sing them because she's a phenomenal singer.
Hmm.
Um, so I kind of dabble in it a little bit, nothing full time, but hopefully she'll sing or cover one of our songs and we'll release it soon. So a little bit here and there, but I would not consider myself like a full-time songwriter, not at all.
Gotcha. 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 All right. You're just the coach.
Yes, I'll coach, but maybe I'll play a little bit. But yes,
Yeah.
coaching, just a really a teacher, educator, because I really, really feel there's so many stories out there that I really want to help artists make the best business decisions possible. I'm pro artist. So if we get you to a point where it's time for you to get with the label, let's go. If you don't want to stay on the label, you want to come off a label and do it independently, let's go too. I just think there's so many stories out there about major artists who are making these decisions that don't know about the industry that it's heartbreaking. I remember I heard a story. It was an interview with Michael McDonald. I keep forgetting things that I was like Michael
Yeah.
McDonald from the
Yeah.
Doobie
Yeah.
Brothers,
Yes,
and he was
sir.
on. I think he was on Questlove's show. And back in the early '90s, they approached him about sampling. But sampling. I keep forgetting for regulators. And initially, he just said, "Okay, I'll sell it to you for $30,000." Didn't get any publishing, no songwriting. If he had gotten publishing and songwriting, that's one of the biggest hip hop songs in history.
Yep.
He would have gotten tens of millions of dollars. Now, I'm sure retroactively they probably will correct that and do that. But initially, if he had
Hmm.
done that early on, his life would have been completely. And he's a famous artist. And there's
Yes.
even you look at like the controversy with Khalees and her song being sampled on Beyonce's album, not the most recent album, the album before that. And she went
Right.
on social media complaining they didn't ask her for permission, but they really asked the songwriters who own the publishing for the permission, so they went about the
Correct.
right way, and she didn't know, and eventually took the song off the album. That's another, example. And there's so many, and it crosses over all genres. It does not care if you're a country artist. It does not care if you're a pop, hip hop, R&B. It doesn't care. Like you need to learn the business because artists of all genres are struggling and don't know it. So that's my goal is just to close the knowledge gap between the artist and the music industry so they can make the best business decision possible.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I always try to talk to people. In addition to being a composer and producer myself, I also handle artist management and I do marketing consultation. And I always try to stress the fact that there's a difference between the music industry and the music business. I think a lot of artists get caught up in the industry of it all, and therefore they lack the knowledge of the business that we're talking about.
Yes.
Um, you've already done it, but I would love it if you could just stress that point of learning the business.
Yes, yes. Hold on. I got a book here. I'm gonna show. So there's a couple of books I recommend. It's called The Music Business for a reason because it is a business. You know, they want to
Hmm.
make money, and they're really
Right.
making money off of you, the artist, your copyright. So you need to do whatever you can to hold on to as much of your copyright as possible. So the first book, this is like the quote unquote Bible. All you need to know about the music
Yes,
business. Donald Passman. This is a great one here.
I got
Uh,
that first edition.
there you go. First, this is the 11th one. I think there's a 12th one
Yeah.
now. So this is a good one. Then I like this one. These are the books I use in my class. So then this is the third edition of How to Make It in the New Music Business. Ari Herstead, another great
Nice.
book. Great book
Yes.
here. There's a couple. I have a publishing book around here somewhere. There's a publishing book over here too. I have to look up. There's a publishing book that talks about publishing. That's one. That's an area of the music industry that is very confusing, and not many people know about it. So the more you know about publishing, the better. Now they need to update it because you have these artists that are selling their catalogs. So they're selling
Hmm.
their catalogs, and now it's kind of like stock, where you're investing in stock because now these big venture capitalist firms are buying record catalogs and they're growing because the artists are still performing. So they're buying the
Hmm.
catalogs from the artists. Their music is still getting placed in movies, which will increase the value of it because new artists are finding it. So that's a whole nother aspect of it. So you got to know the business. You have to be a forever student of the music business. It's changing. Maybe 2, 3 years ago, we weren't talking about Suno and AI music. Now we're
Hmm.
talking about it. No one knew who Xavier Monet was. Now we know about it. So there's so much. You just have to keep learning, and that's my goal is to continue to teach and share. As I learn, I'm going to teach you. We just have. I need to study it more, but we just had Live Nation being declared a monopoly. Okay, what does that do? How does that change for you when you're going on tour? We just had this potential sale of Universal Music Group. I think it's for about $80 billion. I think
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
sales up. These are things that I know it's 30,000 square feet. It's big in the industry, but it can eventually affect you, particularly the Live Nation one. So there's so much happening. I have this service where I will send out music business news once or twice a week. The latest updates is a text service. So
Hmm.
I text people that. I do that for two reasons. First, because I'm a thought leader in the music business industry, so I'm sharing knowledge and sharing information. But second, I'm showing my potential artists this is how you can text your fans and keep in touch with them and just a platform to use. So I say that to say that we have to continue to be lifelong learners of the music business because it's changing by the hour.
Yep. 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 That's good stuff, man. I think I've covered all of my inquiries. Anything that I didn't cover that you may wanted to drop in.
No, just if anyone's out there that's heard this and is like, you know what, I got some questions for Amani, just go to amaniexperience.com/call, set up a free call. I'll talk to anyone. I'm just encouraged by the questions that you asked and the details and just how curious you are. And I'm sure your audience is about the music business because if we're committed to learning together, then we're going to end up in a good place. And so that really, really inspires me.
That's good stuff. Um, Everybody that's listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video and reach out to my man if you have any questions about any of the stuff that he covered today. Check out his socials, check out his YouTube channel, subscribe to that. And also, again, check out his website, amaniexperience.com. And man, I just want to thank you for sharing the knowledge, man, and sharing your experience with us. It's been a good conversation. Um, there's so much in here I could try to go deeper, but let's just this we'll consider this a teaser.
Okay, part one.
And part one, this will be part one, and in the meantime, they can go to your website, learn more about you in that aspect. But yeah, man, it's been a fantastic conversation. I really enjoyed learning more about you firsthand, and I hope my listeners get a lot of takeaways from it. Any parting words before we wrap?
Just my only parting words would be to continue to learn. You'll get, what's the saying? The African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So just
Yes.
partner with some people. Don't go about this all alone. Just get with a good group of people
Yes.
and grow together.
Building a team and building a good team of collaborators as well.
Yes.
Business
Yes.
team and collaborators
Hmm.
is going to be your pathway to success in the
Yeah.
long run. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. I
My
thank you for
pleasure.
taking the time to talk to us. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black, and I've had the esteemed pleasure of interviewing and conversating with Mr. Amani Roberts. Thank you very much, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Thank you. Yo, if you enjoyed this episode, you got to check out this next video. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. You'll be the first to get all the new content, all the new motivational content, all the new music, and all the behind the scenes footage. And you'll be the first to know what's going on. This is Music Therapy and Motivation. I'm your host, Gino Black. I want you to get activated, and I hope you stay motivated. Peace.